You're, yeah. Good. No. I can,
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Let the record indicate it is now 5:01 p.m. and the Warwick City Council Finance Committee is called to order. First order of business is approval of the Finance Committee agenda minutes.
move favorable action.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The second item is approval of the minutes on the consent calendar. Need a motion, please?
Favorable action.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. First item, item number 1, 2026-033, found on page 1, State Street Water Pump Station Improvements. Go ahead, Chrissy.
Good evening. Christy Moretti, Public Works. The Water Division is requesting to award the bid for the State Street Water Pump improvements to Hart Engineering in the amount of $2,400,000 from Budget Code 84799.
So Christy, obviously you're presenting for the Water Department?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any reason?
It's their division of Public Works, so
There's what, please?
they are a division of Public Works, so on occasion we do handle their items.
Okay. All right. Do we have any questions from members of the committee? Councilman Muto.
Hi, Christy.
Good evening.
A couple of questions on this particular bid and also working with this particular company. When we look at the cost of 2.4 million, we have a contingency or an allowance component, which is pretty typical in most of these types of projects. How is projects like this, who is the project manager and what type of cost controls do they have to make sure we stay within the budgets?
The Water Division has an infrastructure program manager that will oversee, along Beta will also oversee, but he'll oversee the project to make sure that things are progressing as they should, make sure there's no cost overruns, or if they run into any sort of problem, they'll present it to him first, who will then bring it to the division chief, and make the decision from there what the next step should be.
Okay, and is that person on staff with the city?
Yes.
Okay, and if something does go awry, when it's notified to the rightful people in the chain, is any alerts come to the council with anything that's potentially over budget or under budget?
The only time that we would, if it was a budget issue where it was going to increase the cost of the bid, then yes, it would come before the council for approval. But if it falls within the awarded amount of 2.4 million, then no,
Okay.
we would just proceed as normal.
What do we do if the contingency or the overage, it doesn't come in at 2.4? Where does that money go?
I'm sorry, wait, is what?
The allowance of 50,000 in this case, I'm just trying to figure out if we come under budget, where does that money go?
The money doesn't go anywhere. It just won't be expended out of the 84799 line item. So when the invoices come in, if they don't use that utility relocation allowance, the $50,000 will stay in 84799. It just won't be expended.
Okay. And Hart Engineering, what type of experience has the city had with Hart Engineering and with their reliability as far as project management and execution?
I don't know specifically that we've used this vendor previously. on projects such as this. But I think in my memory, this is the first time we've had something done to one of the pumping stations as well for an upgrade. So I couldn't say if another department used them, like if the sewer department used them, that I wouldn't have that information.
Okay. Could we follow up with that information? Just in general, this is the first budget that myself and 3 other new people own. We're keeping a very close eye on it, and you'll see by most of our questions this evening that we really want to keep an eye on our budget and our expenses this year. Quite frankly, just because we've had one of the highest tax increases for the city in a long, long time, as well as some most likely unexpected expenses as an enterprise coming forward. So a lot of our questions and a lot of our concerns will be around the need versus the want, and also the quality and delivery and the management and financial capacity of the companies we work with. So I just want to, that'll be a general statement through about 12 items on this list tonight. And I'll speak for myself. I won't speak for the rest of the council, but we do go out drinking and we do talk. So it seems to be the typical. Oh, you don't drink, Councilman? No. Okay. Anyways, thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Councilman Muto.
So what happens when you don't have a life?
I,
do some homework.
I happen to concur with your comments as well. Christie, in this presentation, or in the bid, I should say, it says, this is from James Monroe, the VP and of Hot Engineering. And he says that the lump sum price for allowances is for comparison of bids only. Actual payment shall be in accordance with section 01020 allowances. I don't find anything in my bid package that identifies what section 01020 and allowances is. What is that?
So that, basically what you don't have is the entire bid for the project. So that, that statement about the lump sum price is part of the bid package that was put in by the department. So what it's referring to in that section is part of the, excuse me, the whole bid that was advertised.
But isn't section 01020 a separate section of the entire bid?
So that it refers to that section, and if you look, under allowances, the asterisk is next to the number 1. So it refers to that piece of the utility relocation allowance. But the section that it is speaking about is a section within the bid document that was advertised.
Could you just give us the Reader's Digest version of what that 01020 allowances means?
I can grab my phone and pull up the bid document if you'd like. Just give me 1 second.
You have just, so it always concerns me when it says that something, an actual payment shall be in accordance with. It always concerns me when I see a line item like that, especially if I don't know what that means.
So this,
yeah, we'll wait.
just give me 1 second and I will. Yeah, I have that. It's in here though. Yeah, that's what it's referring to. I just need to find it. Okay. So there's, so the section, yeah, at the top one. So it's 01, so it's going to be further up. 01, 020, yep. Yep. You can search in PDF. 01, 020. And I'll hit it. Okay. So in the bid document under allowances, so that this is the section you're referring to. Under utility allowance bid item number 3, it says utility allowance is intended to cover costs associated with the proposed modifications to the sewer, gas, and electric service that may result in additional fees from the utility provider. Number 2 says, provide the new electric service as shown on the contract drawings required by Rhode Island Energy or as directed by the engineer. And number 3 says, coordinate all work with the respective utility power company or department providing access to the site at the appropriate time to prevent any delay in the work specified to be done under these contract documents. So that, and then under the payment procedures, the lump sum price for allowances is established in the bid forms as an estimated figure to facilitate comparison of bids only. The actual amount to be paid under this item shall constitute full compensation for services rendered. It says the lump sum price shall not, the lump sum price for this item shall not include any costs associated with services rendered for routine utility markings, repair damages incurred as a result of the contractor's operations, relocations of utilities done at the contractor's request and or convenience, or any other unauthorized services rendered by utility companies. The purpose of this item is strictly for the contractor's reimbursement for those services authorized by the owner or engineer prior to the work being performed. So that's what that number 3, that piece, that's what that refers to.
So with that said, this allowance, it's pretty much capped at 50,000.
It is at the moment, but if there's any sort of anomaly or anything, obviously the contractor will have to come back to the city and say, hey, you know, we have a quote from, you know, if they have to, something with Rhode Island Energy, or, you know, I'm not familiar with the actual site location, so I don't know what the utilities look like out there, but if there's something that's an anomaly, they would have to come back to us first anyway and see if we are okay with that. If it does happen to increase the award for this bid over the 2.4 million, we would have to come back to council and ask for 612, so to alter the contract and increase the award. But $50,000 is probably, there was it was not mandatory, but there was a pre-bid meeting at the site as well. So any vendors that were interested could show up and, you know, review the site and the utilities and everything that's there. So that is also, actually I can tell you if they were there. So Matt Michael from Hart Companies was on site at the pre-bid meeting. So they have an understanding of what the scope of work entails.
So given the information that you have or the department has, you're pretty comfortable with that allowance. And I ask that because we have an issue going on where there was another site inspection that didn't turn up a couple of acres of wetlands. So I just want to feel comfortable that you guys are comfortable in what's there and what we could end up with.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions from members of the committee? Councilman Napa.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Reddy, I understand my correspondence with Director Earls that there was no contract review done by the city solicitor. I just would suggest moving forward that a contract that's $2.4 million, that maybe the attorney on staff should breeze through that and make sure that the contract language is appropriate. I know that's nothing that I would suggest going back on now, but I think it may be prudent to consider moving forward with contracts of these size. But that's all I have.
Also, so Councilman Muto, hearing the information that you requested from Christie, is it do you want to move forward with this as you have the information now?
Yeah, I'm fine moving
Okay.
forward, but just like Councilman Napper, it's them learning from us and us learning from those groups that going forward, we're going to be a little more scrutinous on a lot of the things that are going to go on, especially the money that we're going to be spending with our infrastructure. So
Okay,
all improvements going forward.
thank you. Any questions from members of the council? Any questions from members of the public? Do you have any questions from members of the public? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 2, 2026-092, found on page 8. It's purchase of one auto car side loading refuse vehicle.
Public Works is requesting under a 56-6 to purchase a side loading sanitation vehicle in the amount of $398,976 from Sanitary Equipment. It's a one-time purchase, and it is in the approved capital budget, actually less than what we had estimated.
And how many of these side loading vehicles do you have now?
So we have 17, but we do have a couple that are out of service. Ultimately, we would like to send out 7 trash trucks and 7 for recycling. That would be like a full complement for us on a daily basis. And then also we need to have a couple of spares, when the other trucks are either down for a repair or service. So this would bring us to 18. I think it would give us 2 spares. And then the other, there's, I forget if it's 1 or 2 that are out of service.
And how many new vehicles have we approved or have you purchased in the last 3 years or so?
Oh, gosh. I know we purchased 2 of these last year. The year before, I'd hate to give you the wrong answer. I'm not certain. But last year we did purchase 2 of these same vehicles.
Okay. And on these vehicles, when you finally decide that they need to be replaced, approximately how many miles are on these vehicles?
It's well over 200,000.
Well over 200,000.
Yeah. And these vehicles obviously do a lot of hard miles, a lot of stop and start,
They
picking
take a
up.
beating.
They do. Yes.
Especially in your ward.
And
You can't get good help.
the acoustics in here, as you know, are not so good. And Christie, you still have, and this is information that I think everyone's privy to, you still have some of your vehicles that are kind of reaching, that 200,000 mile mark, and there's still issues with the sanitation vehicles being down, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. This is something that I do support. I think these sanitation vehicles are, they're paramount to the services that are provided to the city. I'm glad to hear you say that these vehicles, which take a tremendous amount of abuse and are constantly on the run, sometimes 7 days a week, taking care of the pickups that are needed, and you're running them 200,000 miles. And what's the average age of a vehicle when you feel the need to replace it?
If we were going to go by industry standards, the maximum would be 8 years. We have vehicles that are over that, still on the road.
So industry standards, let's say, is 8 years. That doesn't mean that, this is the drop dead rule, and because a vehicle hits 8 years old and it only has 100,000 miles on it, that it's got to be replaced. You folks are making these vehicles, which have a tremendous amount of use, you make them last longer, and for the obvious reasons, right? So what's the average age of the vehicles that we have in sanitation?
It's probably about 12 years.
12 years.
Yeah. And we have great mechanics. But, they do get to a point where they just can't be fixed anymore, or, it's unsafe to use.
Sure.
So,
After taking a tremendous amount of abuse, after being in service for 12 years, after going 200,000 plus miles. Okay. I'm good with that. Any questions from members of the committee? Councilman Napa.
Thank you. I know I peppered you guys with a lot of questions. I'm not sure that I got an answer on these few. I know this was the last of this type of truck that was available in this package. How often do these type of deals come up?
it's not often. The last time we bought them, it was because the municipality had ordered, I want to say like 6 or 8 of them, and then backed out of the deal. So they already had these vehicles, and they get scooped up quickly. That's the other thing.
Right.
So we're fortunate that, based on the council's decision tonight, this vendor is holding this one for us, but if the answer was no, then they would have no problem selling it to someone else. But these, it is a 2023, but it's brand new. It's never had trash in it. So, but yeah, it doesn't come around like regularly where this type of vehicle is readily available.
Okay. For next budget cycle, or maybe later in this year, do you anticipate we're going to need to purchase new side loaders? Like, are any of ours getting to the point where they are just done at the end of their useful life? Like, we're going to be in a position to need them?
So in the capital budget, that was approved for this year, and obviously there's some years going forward. There was another one budgeted for next year, and for next year, and yeah, so there was one for this year, one for next year. But we are also saving $22,000 over what we asked for. We asked for 420,000, and this one is 398. So
Yeah. And then just one question from my own knowledge and for knowledge of everyone else. Who keeps an eye on, like, when these deals come available? Do vendors contact the city, or is this just sort of out there that we stumble across them?
So it's a combination of both. If we're in need of something, the division chief, the automotive chief, will look for, whatever's out there. But this particular vendor is very familiar with our situation, with our sanitation fleet. So they had reached out and said, we have this vehicle, if you want it, we'll hold it for you. And obviously we said, yes, we do, but we have to get permission first, so.
Well, I anticipate my colleagues would feel the same way, that resounding support for this one. So commendment to you and your team for keeping an eye on this, because I think these, like the chairman said, these are necessary and essential to your function there. So that's all.
Thank you, Councilman. Christie, I just want to repeat what you had said as well, that you had budgeted 420,000 for this vehicle this year, and your bid is actually under 400,000. So good job on that. And also, I just want to recognize the fact that I think every one of your bids that are here this evening are on time. Seriously. No,
I
thank
tried.
you. Thank you. Seriously. Okay. Any other questions from members of the committee? Councilman Muto.
Just to reemphasize what the other council folks have talked about, we are, as you know, I think you're hearing, we have a concern, probably lessened from what you've been talking about. Obviously, COVID saved our bacon. With that money, updating our assets throughout the city.
Yes.
One of our concerns is asset and capital management. Looking forward, actually, I had a conversation a week ago with the mayor and with the chief on some detailed information to help the council. And one of those is on our asset management and looking at the useful life of our equipment so we're not hitting these spikes and troughs year after year, that we're constantly maintaining and keeping an eye out for such equipment going forward. So in the future, in the very near future, you'll be hearing a few requests from our committee on an understanding of more of a longer term plan than more than 1 year at a time. So just also,
Okay.
I would also like to commend your work, not just with the sanitation trucks, which we know is a vital part of the services we provide, but also, the last couple of times you've come before us, you've looked at alternative ways to save the city money with alternative options, such as the Zamboni for the skating rink, as well as looking at what are these one-offs going forward. So congratulations and thank you for keeping an eye on the budgets for us.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman. Any questions from members of the council? Any questions from members of the public? Do we have any questions from members of the public? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 3, 2026-093, found on page 11. Purchase 3 trucks with plow packages for meter service, found on page 11.
So again, on behalf of the Water Division, we are requesting to purchase 3 pickup truck utility body vehicles with plow packages in the amount of $277,816.78. So these vehicles, not only will they do meter service, which is a pretty regular thing, they will also be assigned other duties as needed, and as well as plowing in the winter.
So Christie, on these vehicles, I have a different viewpoint. How many miles on the 3 vehicles that you're looking to replace?
So we are looking to replace 3 cargo vans. One of them is out of service.
One of them is what?
Out of service. One of them has is a 2011. It has 92,458 miles on it. And the other is a 2011 with 158,675 miles.
And describe these cargo vans.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Describe the cargo van, just like a regular Ford van?
Yeah, it's an Econoline van.
Okay, an Econoline van. Very familiar with them. Used to use them. So one of them's out of commission, one of them's got 90,000, and one of them's got 150,000. And they're cargo vans. Some of the questioning that I was asking on your prior bid was to get a little bit of history. I cannot see the reasoning or the rationale of purchasing these 3 trucks, the size of the trucks, with plow packages for meter service. This makes no sense to me. The cargo van has plenty of load capacity, carrying capacity, has plenty of room inside it for whatever equipment you need for servicing a meter. These meters, we're not talking like, an engine block or a transmission off of a 16-wheeler or 18-wheeler. We're talking about vehicles that are going to perform meter service. They go in, they take out a meter, put in a new meter, replace a meter, replace some plumbing. They have deduct meters that they have to install and so forth. I have not heard anything that is going to make me think that these 3 trucks are not overkill for what they are doing. And keep in mind, we just bought 2 new pickup trucks for the water department for new positions. The plow I don't get, because we don't have the people in the meter service. We hear oftentimes when they're coming to us, the water department that is, and the water department's making the presentation, that we're changing more meters than ever. We're doing more deduct meters than ever. We have approved bids recently, not that far down the road, that would allow for the purchase of more meters. And they're busy all the time with doing these meters. And there's only so many people doing them. So I'm not convinced that throwing a plow on this truck is going to have any useful benefit to the taxpayers, nor will these operators even have an opportunity or even a need to get out there and plow snow. And for $300,000, I think that we certainly could go out and subcontract snow plowing if the need becomes that great for snow plowing. I noticed one of your other bids, we'll talk about that after, you've actually have a pretty significant reduction on your request, which kudos to you for that. But that also signals to me that that's even more evidence that this thing about, well, we're going to have snow plows so they can go out and plow, makes this whole thing worth it. These vehicles at an average of $90,000 per vehicle to go out and perform meter service, I can't support that. If the department, and Christy, understand that while I'm speaking with you, I'm not speaking to you. I know this isn't your department. I know this isn't your request, but you're the one that's at the podium. The job can be served just as well for, in my opinion, a lot less money by doing vehicles that are not overkill. And to my knowledge, I don't think anyone has done the shopping for these vehicles, has called Flood Ford, Tasker Ford, Belize, Liberty, whoever, to say, hey, what do you have for vehicles? What I see here, and you've heard me comment on it numerous times, is we're going to go along with the MPA. Well, I think going along with the MPA sometimes is maybe the more time-restricted way of doing it. I think it's perhaps the easier way of doing it, but I don't always think that it's in the best interest of the people who are paying the bills. So this is not anything that I'm going to be able to support. I would like to see the department reconsider this, to go back and get prices on vehicles that are more in line with what the job description is. I even wonder if there's not a problem based upon some recent history of a grievance being filed on someone who was plowing or doing a backhoe thing or something or other, if the drivers on those plows in the water department, if their agreements, their contract agreements even allow them to do it. I don't know. I'm speculating. But at almost $278,000 for three vehicles to do meter service that could easily be done in terms of load carrying capacity, equipment, et cetera, based upon my experience in the construction industry using the Econoline vans for 40-some years. They worked very well for carrying the equipment, the ladders, the tools, the stock, the nails, the inventory, the caulking, all in one of those vehicles. Worked fine. I think this is overkill, and I can't support it.
So would it be all right if I tried to provide you with some information?
If you what, please?
If I tried to provide you with some information
You mean
for the
in the future?
No, right now.
Right now? Sure.
Okay. So yes, it is a state MPA. These vehicles would be delivered in approximately 6 to 8 weeks to the city. Anything that we, particularly if we go out to bid, which the state has already done, which is why there's an MPA, and it's a volume purchase. If we go out to bid, we are looking at least a year, if not more, to get a build slot. So for a municipality, it's not easy. We can't just go to any dealership and say, oh, hey, you have a 1-ton dump truck with the dump body on it. I want to buy that. They would say, no, you can't. That's a retail sale. It's not for a municipal because we get better pricing. The reason that we're asking for these vehicles, and Jerry, our water division chief, can explain the meter service job to you, but as far as the plows go, we experience, in the hiring process that a lot of people no longer carry a CDL. So for them to, we could go out and buy, 6-wheel dump trucks, but we don't have anybody to drive them. So these vehicles would be multi-purpose for the department as a whole, whether it's snow plowing, or it's, helping out. The water department helps us out every time we have a weather event, whether it's something like happened last week, a snowstorm, a hurricane. When it comes to that in public works, it's all hands on deck. Everybody works. So I just wanted to provide you with a little bit more insight as to why we're asking for these vehicles and why we're asking for them with a plow, because they are not going to be just specifically for the meter service. And as far as the scope of work, every job description in the city has, at the end, they all say related duties as required. So that means that, yes, we can task water department employees to go out and plow if we need them to. These trucks don't require a CDL, so you can have a regular state of Rhode Island license to drive these vehicles. There's just a lot of layers to it for us as far as when we look at vehicle purchases. We do the best that we can to make sure that we're getting what we need to run the department and make sure we can still provide the services, because there's two things that our residents want, and that's they want their trash picked up and they want their water to come out of the faucet. So that's why when we make these requests, it's not like we haven't done research. It's not like we haven't, looked at other avenues, but we're in a little bit of a corner, being a municipality, where we can't just go to a lot and buy 3 vehicles. It's a different process.
Well, Christy, I think that, and I hear this often that, we can't go out for bid because we don't have time, or, we need this now, et cetera, et cetera. Well, I've been hearing that for years. And there is time if it's done timely. And if it's not done timely, then you're right, there is no time. There are dealers all over the state, just in Rhode Island, that have plenty of these Econoline type vans sitting in the lots. And I'm sure that an RFP could have been put out a couple of months ago for these 3 vehicles. To say that, we don't have these, 8-wheel or 6-wheel, whatever they are, dump trucks because we don't have drivers with CDLs, we're not talking about buying dump trucks. We're talking about buying vehicles that are indicative of the job that they're intended to do, which is provide a meter reader service, a meter service. The meter service certainly doesn't require 10-wheel dump trucks. DPW has 10-wheel dump trucks, I believe, or 8 wheels. How many wheels they have? They're a dump truck. This, in my opinion, is just a very heavy overreach of a vehicle that's required to do the job of meter service. And as Councilman Muto has already pointed out and spoken quite well, is here we are, we're in the first month of the new fiscal year. And there's a lot of things coming down the road that we don't have the crystal ball to look into or realize or anticipate. So to purchase not only these vehicles, there's other vehicles coming up too that I have the same feelings with, and I'm going to be having the same positions with. I think we need to look at this from, okay, so what do we need to do this job? What do we need to do to provide the service to the taxpayers, to the homeowners for meter service and providing them with the water they need? I don't think that these guys are going to be out there plowing snow. I don't think they're going to be out there regularly picking up brush. And if we have these infrequent storms like we just had the other night, the city can do just what they did, call out 15 other vendors to come over and help us pick up the debris. Because with those folks, we don't have any overhead on them. None. So that's where I am. Any questions from members of the, I'm sorry, do you want to speak? Please, go ahead.
Yes, Francis Gomez, purchasing agent, and this is just more informative when it comes to the MPA, piggybacking an MPA when it comes to vehicles. I have, I can't say which city or town, but I do have knowledge of another city going out to bid for maybe more vehicles than this on one. And then what ended up happening was there were 3 bidders, 2 were disqualified, and the winning bidder was actually a vendor already under the MPA. And unfortunately, because they went out to bid, yes, the 2 other vendors disqualified because for whatever reason, maybe they didn't have, maybe let's just say a plow package, for example. Because they didn't piggyback the MPA, the city ended up paying at least $150,000 more than they would have if they piggybacked the MPA. Only reason why, and again, this is just informative, is because under the MPA, the vendor has a larger range of customers, let's say, versus going out to bid, which they're going to charge you more by going out to bid.
And thank you for that, Director. And, you know, while that may be the case in that instance, to me, that doesn't prevent us from going through the exercise to find out. And to just say, okay, MPA, that's the best deal. I don't always think it is the best deal. I think going through the exercise to find out if it's the best deal is important. And it's important not necessarily every time, but sometimes. And in this case, almost $300,000 for 3 trucks to do meter service is, to me, it's just over the top more than what is necessary by a long stretch. And one of these vans has 90-some thousand miles. We just heard Christie say the sanitation vehicles who get tons of beatings, they average 8 to 10 to 12 years and 200,000 miles. Now, I sit back and I say, so, okay, why am I going to want to replace a vehicle that's 98,000? And the answer shouldn't be, well, because this vehicle is just beat up and, you know, the engine's blown up and it burns oil, it does all this other stuff, because I know that's not the case, because we have a maintenance department that does a good job taking care of these things. So I'm still not convinced.
Would you like the division chief to speak on what the water service technicians actually do?
I'm sorry?
Would you like the division chief to speak on what the meter service do?
Sure,
So this is Jerry Ouellette. He's our water division
sure,
chief.
thank you.
All right, first time nervous, so Jerry Willett.
Just to put,
Speak into the mic, please.
Jerry Willett, Water Chief.
thank you, welcome, Chief.
So the question that you have was why a utility body over a van, a car line van? Back when I started, 91, 94, we used vans, car line vans, and we found that you had to heavily modify them on the inside to hold your brass, hold your equipment. We actually put in trap doors underneath, and it just didn't work. Stuff was getting broken. These utility bodies, I actually asked to look into one of them the other day, what these guys carry. It's pretty standard. They need hand tools. They need electronic tools. They need pipe locators. They need the meters. Those cabinets on the outside of those trucks, they're pretty much chock full. And, you know, one of the things I kind of have a problem with that I'd just like to discuss a little bit is the term meter services. These trucks are first responder vehicles. If you have a problem, they're the ones that are going to be showing up at your house. If you're taking on water, these guys are the ones showing up. So they are the water department's first responders for homeowners as well as businesses. So yeah, the smaller residential meters are 5/8 meters. They don't weigh that much. The larger meters, you get up into, 2 and 3 inch meters. They've got some weight to them, and they're also worth some money. These are not things you want rattling around in the back of a van. Usually in a utility body, there's a reason why every single water department that I'm aware of right now, especially with the service vehicles, that's what we call them, service vehicles. They're pretty much all utility bodies now. If you get the specialists, the pros that come in, off the top of my head, it's Hydrotech. There's a few other ones, all utility bodies. A, because of the weight. B, because of what you can put in them, and they're secure.
Thank you for that, Director, but I think that in the kind of line van, we'll get to that house emergency just as quick as, this pickup truck will with a plow. I know how much those vans can take because we loaded them, and I did it for well over 40 years. And to the defense of it, the only thing that I found we needed to do more often was brakes because of the weight that was in the truck. So I'm not convinced that a simple Econoline van isn't going to do the job that is necessary to provide meter service to our residents, as opposed to having to spend almost $300,000 on trucks with plows and heavy-duty packages and all this other stuff. So that's it. Councilman, Chief, did you want to say something, or you want to hear from Councilman Napa first?
We'll hear from Councilman Napa first. Good evening, Bill Facenti, Chief of Staff to Mayor Picozzi. So Jerry Willett is the operational expert on the water department. He's been in the business for many, many years. You keep mentioning Econoline vans and going to a van. These vehicles are serving dual purposes. We would love to buy dump trucks, large dump trucks that operators can operate and drivers can drive. We can't get the drivers to drive them. So we're multi-purposing these vehicles, utility bodies with plow trucks. You mentioned hiring subcontractors. That's great. The amount of money you're saving in the first year on the purchase of the vehicle, you'll spend that in the subcontractors. These will last 10, 12 years. The vans that we have now are 2011s. It's 15 years old. These vehicles take a beating, whether they have 90,000 miles on them or 12,000 miles. They take a beating. So they're like sanitation vehicles. They're high mileage, high use. And I would just ask that you allow the water department and the city to operate its department as it sees fit from the situational experts, and not just going by Econoline vans or box vans or panel vans, whatever you want to call them. They're requesting the ability to use these vehicles for two different purposes. As Jerry said, first responders, they respond to the storms. When the council people call and want the trees moved and everything else dug up and moved and plowed, these trucks will be used. Whether you think that or not, they will be used, not just for the water department. So that's all I have to say.
So does that mean those trucks will be offline for doing meter service when they're out there plowing snow or chasing tree branches or whatever?
As a
And Chief-
priority, yes. If there's a water line that's broken in a house, we'll prioritize that. But when there's a microburst or whatever happened
Yeah.
on Thursday, that will take priority. These trucks will be prioritized and used throughout the entire city.
Chief, just because a department comes to the council and says, we want this, that doesn't necessarily mean that's what they have to have, or that's what they need to do the job.
So that's what
Then
that's what
this-
the department is asking for. That's what they need to do the job.
Well, obviously, over the last 14 or 15 years, they've done the job, and from my understanding, done it pretty well with the vans that are 14 or 15 years old. You just said they're 2011. That's 14 or 15 years. So I think those vans have worked very well for the last 15 years servicing the people.
We've also had operators that have retired and dump truck operators that have retired that we can't fill positions with. So we can't buy the dump trucks to have them dual roles.
Well,
So
pickup
these-
truck's not going to do the job of a dump truck either. Come
No,
on.
I'm not saying that,
No.
but a large plow truck that we'd like to buy, we can't get someone to drive it. So these will serve as replacements for CDL operators. We're having trouble filling CDL positions because people do not want to get a CDL. There are many restrictions on CDL licenses, drug tests, alcohol tests. So we're having trouble filling those positions. This will allow the city to operate in a manner that is efficient and it fits within our plan to operate the city.
Thank you, Chief. Councilman Napa.
I'm not sure who this question would be appropriate for, Chief, either you or maybe Director Earls or Christie. How many vehicles does the city utilize now during snowstorms that require a CDL?
Right now, we have maybe six-wheel dump trucks that we utilize. We have a few, we have a couple from the 90s as well. We have not quite enough CDL drivers in the highway division to fill those seats. We also use our loaders and our backhoes, which you have to have an operator's license to operate. So
So loaders and large machinery like that,
yeah,
these pickup trucks are not going to
They're-
usurp those. I guess my question is more directed at if the intention of these vehicles is to allow us flexibility to have regularly licensed drivers use these in place of CDL drivers driving higher gross vehicle weight vehicles that would require a CDL. How many of the large gross vehicle weight vehicles do we anticipate being able to take out of service because we don't have a driver for them?
we're not going to take any out of service. We will fill the seats for the ones that for the people that have CDL. So everybody in the highway yard that has a CDL will be in a CDL vehicle. But we had 3 people retire that had a CDL, and we can't fill their positions. So you have at least 3 trucks. Now, if we have a truck go down during a snowstorm, then whoever's truck that was, while it's in the garage, they'll jump in one maybe that's online if there's something available.
So
But
I understand the need here. I do, especially because the city is paying much less than the state for a CDL driver, so it's more attractive for those type of people to go elsewhere. So I understand the difficulty of getting CDL type drivers. My next question is, since 2011, since we've had these E250s, have we been providing adequate service relative to meter service?
Yes.
Okay.
Eric Earls, Public Works Director.
Thanks,
But I came up because I wanted to speak to the plowing operation. So there are 58 routes. So we've divided the city up, 58 routes. Ideally, we would put 1 truck in each of those routes. That hasn't happened in my tenure. right? We don't have that. And the idea that we can get outside vendors to assist with that is just not happening. They're not available either. The state pays more, the state calls them in earlier, the state pays longer hours. We lose a lot of our outside vendors to the state. So when we start plowing, we have a lot of trucks out there trying to do double duty, right? Chasing other routes. The more trucks like this that we have that we can put into routes, the more efficient that operation will be. And these people would absolutely be part of that operation. And I know, again, what our water division chief indicated about operationally, that's where we take our cues from. They know more about it than I do. They certainly know more about it than you guys do. So that's what we take our cues from. And I'm up here to say these would absolutely be a huge part of our snow removal operation. And I'm not talking about these three, the other four that we're going to talk about later, those also would. It's few things will get your phones ringing as poorly plowed roads. And you guys know that. Even if it doesn't happen that often. We hear it, you guys hear it. So the more vehicles we can put at that, the better off everyone's going to be. So that's a huge part of why these are the vehicles that they are.
Director, I don't think anyone disagrees that unplowed roads are going to get our phones ringing, but what also gets our phones ringing is large tax increases. So I think you need to reconcile that as well. One thing that stuck out to me was when we're looking at the 7 vehicles over these 2 bid items, these utility bodies are coming in close to $90,000 a piece. The other pickup trucks for the road crews and inspectors are roughly $30,000 less per. Can we have the chief or someone speak to what is the necessity for that
Well, that's
severe
the,
increase?
That's the utility body.
Right. I just, that's a massive uptick in cost to reconcile on my end. I think that's where this for me becomes problematic. If we want to, the intention here is to use these vehicles for due purpose, then I think we can accomplish that with a lesser decked out vehicle. I mean, there's $45,000 or so in utility body. Is there an alternative to use something similar to the other pickup trucks that are part of the state bid rather than a $90,000 vehicle? I guess that is my question. I'd like someone to speak to.
Yeah, I thought that the water division chief indicated that.
He indicated about all his bells and whistles that he wanted. Is there an alternative? He didn't speak to that.
Okay.
So we've worked out of pretty much every truck you can imagine, from the large site trucks to the vans. And for a department this size with this many services, with what we have to carry, you're only talking about six compartments on each side. Now think about where you'd put a toolbox. You got to carry a full complement of tools. Think about where you'd carry a pipe locator, an M-scope, hydrant diffusers, stuff like that, hydrant wrench, meters, your brass alone. The brass alone, you need at least one bin for that, one of those long ones over the wheel wells. Now you need an inverter. The inverter usually goes up front in one of those boxes. You need to carry safety equipment. It's just the amount of weight and the disorder. I've seen vans. I've seen what they look like.
Well, I think the disorder in the van is that becomes down to an accountability and personnel issue. I come from a long line of master plumbers. My family is a family of plumbers. At a large commercial plumbing company in Providence. I learned how to sweat pipe when I was 9. I'm well versed in what you need on a plumbing vehicle. So if your crews are operating a disorganized van, that seems like a crew issue. That's not a vehicle issue. My question, believe it or not, I'm actually trying to help you here. I'm giving you a platform to give us, is there an alternative? I understand what you have to carry and what the necessity is for size and space to accomplish what you need to carry. Is there an alternative to the $45,000 upgrades to the vehicles to the 3,500? Is there an alternative to that that makes this more affordable?
In my opinion, after the years I've seen what I've seen, no.
Okay.
Councilman Napper, I think these three vehicles here, we're talking over 90,000 each.
Right. 92 and some change. But there's $45,000 of the plow package and the body equipment
Exactly.
upgrade. The base truck, I think, is somewhere around 50-ish. Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Chief, no, sorry, this would be to Christie. So Christie, these vehicles here are $524,000 for these two vehicles. And in
I'm
your
sorry.
capital budget,
Which vehicles? Did you say 525,000?
I'm talking this line of vehicles, 278,000. And item number 5, which is 4 additional trucks for 246,
Okay,
that comes up to 524,000.
okay.
In the capital budget, you've only appropriated 460,000 for these vehicles. Unless you plan, are you getting a dump truck this year? You got a dump truck in your capital budget for 220,000.
So we're working on getting things together for the dump truck and the service truck. So obviously, we've asked for, I forget exactly how it's worded in there. I don't have the document in front of me in the capital budget. But so there's an additional purchase, but this is coming from the water department funds, which is an enterprise fund.
I'm in the
So-
water department.
I'm sorry.
And in the water department, you have utility pickups in progress, whatever in progress means, for 230,000, a service truck for 160, and a replacement of service vans, plural, for 70,000. And that totals 460,000. The two items that you have for the water department before us now come up to 524,000. So where is the other 64,000 coming from? Because
All
I
of
don't
these-
see it in the capital budget.
All of these items are not coming out of the capital budget. They're coming out of water's capital budget, which is enterprise funds, which is budget code 84799. And there's $4.2 million in there right now.
4.1 million, I think, as of today.
4.2.
4.2 is what
change.
we awarded, what we approved, I think, was 4.2 we approved.
Yes.
And I think as of today's munis report, it was 4.1.
I haven't looked at it, but
Yeah,
there
I
was
did.
it was budgeted as of for fiscal year 26, 4.2 million.
But what we approved in a capital budget for purchases of these vehicles was 460. Now you're asking us to approve, or you will be when you get the other item in, for 524.
Correct. The department is making a request for the vehicles in the capital, but not all of them, but the pickups, or, I'm sorry, I don't have the document in front of me, but what's in the capital budget, and they're making another request for additional vehicles. It would be no different than me coming to you 6 months from now and saying, we'd like to buy another Ford Explorer for, it's a request, it's not in the capital budget. It's outside of the capital budget, but we are allowed to make the request under ordinance 5610 of the city, of the
It just wasn't planned for in the capital budget.
no, but
Right.
water has the funds in their budget code.
Okay. Councilman Muto.
Thank you. As you can see, we're extremely sensitive to spending money this year. The reason is, as you know, I'll reiterate, we had the highest tax increase in decades. We have unforeseen liabilities that are coming in. We have no idea what's going to come down the pike in about 2 months. The budget is about our priorities for the enterprise, the city. I appreciate what you guys are planning, which is addressing the issue of CDLs and coming up with resources and equipment to accommodate that. Again, I will reiterate, Chief, this is really what I was trying to get at last Monday, is we need to understand more. We need to understand more so we can get on board with the long-term planning. I will ask you a question because I see the bids don't expire until January of 2017. What is the risk if we do not approve this today and we push this 2 months from now when we know a little bit more of what we're facing?
We won't get any vehicles.
Okay. Okay.
I'm sorry? We won't get any vehicles. We won't be able to get any vehicles. This vendor is holding 7 vehicles for us based on the outcome of this meeting tonight. And if the council decides not to buy them, they will sell them to someone else. And then we can go out to bid, and then we will wait over a year to receive a vehicle because it's not even built yet.
Which was my point earlier. Okay, Chief.
Mr. Chairman, Bill Vicente again. Councilman Mito, you bring up a good point. We do have a large tax increase, but previous administrations, not just administration, but administrations, have deferred investment in our infrastructure for years and years and years. And that's one of the reasons why we are where we are. So I would, again, ask you to allow the city of Warwick administration to run the departments as they see fit from the experts, the operational experts that will use these vehicles as they're being sold.
I don't disagree with you, and that is really the main point that I'm trying to make is for decades we have ignored capital planning, and we're still looking at purchasing without a plan. And if there is a plan, we want to know about that, and that's really why I went to you last week to say this is what we need. Spending $500,000 at this point within the first year of a new budget doesn't really sit well with me either. A little uncomfortable with okaying that type of expenditure without a clear understanding of the jobs to be done and the plans to really leverage this. And there may be plans in the background, but I think we need a little bit more help with that.
I understand. Also, there's no tariffs on these as well. So if we buy any other vehicles, there'll be tariffs. And these are, again, through the enterprise fund that are paid through the ratepayers, not general tax dollars. I know that doesn't matter, but I'm just saying that again.
And Chief, with all due respect, there's hundreds, if not thousands of vehicles out there on lots with no tariffs on them. And we don't even know if these tariffs are going to come to be. But I think for me, the point is this. We would all love to have a Mercedes. We'd all love to have one, but we can't afford it. I can't afford it. So you have to drive something else. My point is, I think that the same job can be done without spending over $90,000 per vehicle on these 3 trucks. And it makes even less sense when we come to item number 5, because those trucks are $30,000 less than the 3 that you're trying to buy now. So anyways, I think we've had this conversation long enough.
So, again, Councilman, if we don't buy these trucks at $90,000 a piece that can be used for meter service as well as plow trucks, we may be coming back to you for probably $60,000 worth of vans and probably plow trucks. So which would probably be more than $100,000 combined, because you're not buying a $40,000 plow truck. I don't know, you can't plow with an F-150, you can't plow with an F-250. You can if you want to plow for 1 year. These are heavy-duty trucks that we're trying to save the city money and try to be as efficient as possible.
Which brings us back to the point of what Councilman Muto said about fiscal efficiency, I guess, is the way he worded it. In any event, any other questions from members of the committee? Councilman.
Chief,
Yes.
the purpose of buying these vehicles with this plow package is that you're looking forward, and based on history, last year, this past winter, the winter of 23, 22, we have had a problem getting outside vendors to come in and plow the streets of this city. Is that correct?
Correct, but it's not just the plow package we're looking for on these trucks, it's the utility bodies. Because
Okay.
the services change.
So the administration, DPW, the departments have looked forward and said financially, fiscally, effective and efficiently, if we buy these vehicles and have a plow package on it, it will help us solve a problem that we have historically had for the last 2, 3, 4 years that I've been on the council. Is that correct?
Yes, and the problem
So-
is not going away.
So you are thinking ahead, and based on your experience and the experiences of the heads of the departments, this is the avenue you think we should go in.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions from members of the committee? Any Council President Sinapi?
If possible, can Councilman DeLuise go first? You had his light on before me.
I'm sorry?
Councilman
just-
DeLuise
Oh,
also
okay.
had his light on.
Councilman
I
DeLuise.
just have a question. Okay, so say we have a year where there's not a lot of snow, okay? Can you explain to me exactly what meter service is? And if we don't have a lot of snow, these trucks, what is another purpose that these trucks will do? Say we have a year. This year, we didn't have a lot of snow.
So these trucks are used every day for, again, I hate to use the term, but the first responders, if you have a problem with your house, these trucks have to show up with everything they need to resolve that issue. They carry, it's not like they carry one thing. They have to carry everything that they could need. And that involves locating equipment. You have to find the service outside. In some cases, and if there's snow on the ground, you got to plow just to get to the service box. If you got to shut somebody's water off at 2 o'clock in the morning, they blew a pipe and it's a snowbank. That snowbank's got to come out. They got to get to the box to shut it off outside. They carry pumps. They carry, again, it's hard to explain. I kind of, I mean, you could use a van for an ambulance too, but these things, the amount of stuff these guys carry and the variety, and they're used on a daily, every day. But obviously, if there's a snowstorm, their meter, whatever appointments get postponed because we're in an emergency situation at that point. I just can't stress that enough.
Do you keep, I mean, professional athletes keep records. Do you folks keep statistics as to how many times these trucks go out during the course of a year to service meters?
They're out every
Because I
single-
don't think anybody's ever been to my house. I've been there 30 years.
They're out every single day.
Sorry, what?
They're out, there's three trucks out every single day.
No, I asked if you had statistics on how many times they went to service, like in a year. Like, did they go out 1,000 times, 2,000 times to service a meter? That's what I'm asking. Probably
Yes,
don't have any
It's in the
idea.
thousands. I don't have that number because, again, all jobs are different. Sometimes
Right.
it's just to replace a meter. Sometimes it's just shut the water off, turn it back on. I don't, the division may have that. I don't.
Okay. That's all.
Any other questions from members of the council?
Yeah.
Councilman Sinapi, Council President, sorry.
So just to recap, please keep in mind that the dual purpose nature of the vehicles, given that it's coming from the enterprise funds, is definitely in our best interest, considering otherwise getting plows exclusively will be coming from the general fund or DPW line items, et cetera. Not to mention cost-wise with tariffs, which, as Councilman Ladisher correctly does point out, we have no idea from day to day whether or not we'll have them, but we have to plan accordingly that we may. It is common knowledge that there is a CDL shortage nationwide, unfortunately, and it's only gotten worse year over year. It's also important to point out, as far as this particular package for this particular bid, the director has represented that in his professional opinion, a lesser package is not viable. So, I mean, to put it bluntly, you either trust the director at his word or you don't, as far as this particular bid and the package within. That being said, Councilman Muto's point is well taken as far as having a plan. While I'm in favor of the bid tonight, just due to the nature of the alternatives, this is the lesser of two evils as far as I'm concerned. I'd rather have it than face the consequences of not having it. That being said, having a plan seems rather, well, I was gonna say pivotal, but it would help everyone immensely, not just us, but also help the city. You don't have to sit up there and recite all these things off the top of your head. Instead, everyone knows coming into the meeting beforehand. So we're not stuck questioning it for over an hour. So if we can work on making sure when it comes, especially to capital improvements, because that's literally like, that's where there should be a plan by definition. And it sounds like, frankly, that you have one. It's just that it wasn't like enumerated in the bid or elsewise. So it's just a matter of conveying that to us. And with all due respect, it will actually help you all on your end as well, because that process will assist in making sure your plan is viable. I know personally, and I think most people will say, when you actually are forced to put down your plan on paper, you are able to critique it and say, oh, wait, XYZ should be different. This could be better. This could be worse, et cetera. So it helps everyone to have one, and it hurts everyone not to. But again, it does sound like you have one. It's just a matter of making sure we are made aware of it prior. So again, I'm in favor of the bid. In all fairness, it's because it's the lesser of two evils. But I trust the director at his word that a lesser package isn't viable. And I fully agree with the dual purpose nature of the vehicles. And I appreciate you all taking the time to explain that to us. And frankly, I appreciate the questions too, because we had to get here to find out all this information.
You all set, Mr. President? Thank you. Any members of the council? Any members of the public? Any members of the public have any comments? Hearing none. Put a PCR on this. Madam Clerk. Thank you. Item number 4, 2026-100. Sorry. Okay. Need a motion?
Move favorable action.
We have a motion for favorable. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Opposed. Councilman Muto?
Are we doing the PCR?
We're doing the PCR on the trucks.
Opposed.
Okay. So we have 2 yes and we have 2 no. So this is a new milestone because of the 4-person committee. So I think I need a ruling from the solicitor as to what happens.
I believe when we updated the rules, we provided that items that have a split recommendation still proceed to the full body. And I believe that'll be with no recommendation. So the item will proceed to the council later this evening with no recommendation.
Okay. All right, thank you. Just to reiterate, this item, PCR 82-25, will be moving to the full floor without a recommendation, and at that time, be open for discussion. Item number 4, 2026-100, SIGCOM TRX 50 radios. Chief?
Good evening. Assistant Chief Ahmed Howard from the Fire Department. The Fire Department's requesting a 56.6 exception to bid for the purchase and installation of a SIGCOM radio fire alarm reporting system. We're seeking an award to Signal Communications of Woburn, Mass. in the amount of $264,781. This will be from the capital expenditures for the fire department for fiscal year 26. SIGCOM handles the fire alarm radio communication system for the city, which includes about 1,000 municipal fire alarm receiving or signaling stations in buildings throughout the city. The current project to move our dispatch center to Station 10 requires not just the upgrade, but additional equipment at Station 10 to receive these boxes. So this was part of the project going along since we started this years ago. And this is the last piece of this project that we need to finish to get the ball rolling and complete the project for moving our dispatch center.
Thank you, Chief. Chief, what is it that you have in the capital budget for this item?
This item in the capital budget was budgeted for $300,000. There is still another piece of this project that still needs to come to council. That's the actual antenna system. That SIGCOM does not supply the actual antennas for the system. That's done by a tower company or an antenna company. So we're still getting our quotes and to go out to bid for that.
And that wasn't included in the capital budget?
It is. It's part of the 300,000. So we're looking for 264,000 now from SIGCOM, and then we're estimating about $25,000 to $35,000 for the antenna part. We'll come back another date once we get better idea of the cost of that.
Okay. And this is a sole source provider, you said, right?
I'm sorry.
This is a sole source provider?
Yeah, this is SIGCOM holds the proprietary equipment for this system in Warwick. If we ever wanted to switch off of SIGCOM, we'd have to have all 1,000 business owners change their boxes out at several $1,000s a piece. So that's we don't have any issues with SIGCOM, so there's no reason to switch and put any burden on the business owners.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from members of the council? I'm sorry, the members of the committee. Councilman Muto.
Thank you, Chief. Just really more of a comment versus a question. So I did have a chance to go visit the station on Sandy Lane, a little cramped.
Don't give him any ideas.
But I did notice, and this is really just a general question. It looked like the calls that come in are both for fire and for police in the same building right now. Are you guys separating those, or is it all fire?
No, on Sandy Lane, that's just the fire and EMS dispatch.
EMS, okay.
The police dispatch center is within the police station here on Veterans Memorial Drive. Okay. They're separate.
Thank you. And besides the crampedness in the building being 300 years old, the efficiencies and benefits that you see with this upgrade for our citizens?
So the system that's currently in there is older has been there longer than I've been on the fire department, and I've been here for 27 years. So it's been outdated for a long time. SIGCOM has told us for many years that we need to replace this legacy system. We've been putting it off knowing that planning that this move was going to happen. We didn't want to buy brand new equipment, put it into the building, and have to convert it all to a different system in order to get it to relay over to the new station. So we've been band-aiding the current system for quite a while now, trying to get it to get to where we are at today and get the new system installed.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Napa.
Chief, I just wanted to reiterate something you and I had already spoken about, that this is a one-time cost. There's no ongoing fees for this, and that the preventative maintenance and repairs, in your estimation, are extremely uncommon because this is a very reliable service. Is that accurate?
Yeah, SIGCOM's a one-time deal. It's a radio receiving station. The software and all that is included in the upgrades as long as we own the system. The only maintenance we would need to do is normal repairs if something malfunctions. And like we had talked about previously, in the last 3 years, I looked back. It was about $1,000 in repairs over the last 3 years. So and that's on a 25-year-old system. So its history of maintenance and ongoing costs is very minimal.
Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other questions from members of the committee? Any questions from members of the council? Any questions from members of the public? Are there any questions from members of the public? Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to thank you, Chief. Item number 5, 2026-094, purchase 4 Chevy 3500 heavy-duty pickups.
Christy
Hi,
Moretti,
Christy.
Public Works.
Christy, I think we had more than ample conversation on the these vehicles. It might be a different bid, but same issue. The one question I do have is why are these 4 vehicles 61,000 versus the other 3, which are also 3,500 with plow packages over 90,000?
So these vehicles are strictly pickup trucks. They don't have the whole utility body and everything. So that's why these are not utility body vehicles. The other 3 are. There's 2 for the road crew and 2 for the inspectors. So that's why they're significantly cheaper. So there's not that whole package of add-ons that go along with the utility body. And then obviously the plow package for the same reasons that we stated before. The water division, even the sewer division, they all plow for us when we have an event or, any sort of weather thing. So
So a utility body is $30,000 for
utility body is, yes, they're more
33,000?
expensive.
And how much did we say an Econoline van was?
I don't know.
I'm just throwing it out there. I have the same opinions, the same positions, the same everything on this, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse. Any comments from members of the committee? Councilman Napa.
Christie, just had a couple of questions. Director Earls had indicated that these vehicles are assigned to employees, like each vehicle will be assigned to a specific employee?
Yes,
Is that
the
accurate?
water division, because of the structure of their operation, they have the ability to specifically assign vehicles to an individual, and that's they take care of it and make sure it goes in for service, and, if there's something wrong, they communicate with the garage. Yes, they would
Okay.
be to one person.
If we need to dual task these vehicles and then send them out for plow, would the employee that the vehicle is assigned to be the one plowing, or are those going to be assigned to whomever's coming in on overtime to plow for that evening, day, weekend?
So there's other factors to be considered. If an employee's on vacation, obviously we can't call them in. So if one of these employees is on vacation, we might have a laborer from the highway department jump into their truck, or, like somebody that's, it's kind of all hands on deck. So we do what we have to do to make sure that, our roadways are open, just like the storm we just had. We have a responsibility to make sure that police and fire can get through if necessary, and, if there's any kind of emergency. So if we have to, assign other individuals to these vehicles for any reason, then we will do that.
Okay. And these vehicles, are they kept at the city yard? These are not take-home vehicles, correct?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear
These are
that.
not take-home vehicles, are they? They're kept at the city yard? Do the employees take these vehicles home, or are they kept at the city yard?
No, they don't. I'm sorry, I couldn't
okay.
hear you. No, they don't take these vehicles home.
Okay. Thank you.
Christie, where in the budget are these, is this money's coming from?
The money is also coming from 84799.
Which is part of that 4.1 million that's left as of now?
Yes.
Any other questions from members of the committee? Councilman DeLuise.
Yes, Christie, you said that 2 of the 4 vehicles are used by inspectors.
Yes.
So couldn't an inspector go out in a truck that doesn't cost $62,000? Couldn't we get a less expensive truck for the 2 inspectors, maybe $40,000?
So the inspectors, when they go out, not only do they do a new home service or something, but they also do any sort of connections to our system that are, larger, businesses and things like that. So they literally have to drive onto easements. They have to drive onto off-road construction sites. So, for them to have a truck that can get them through is obviously the best thing for it.
All right, well, I wish these things would be explained a little bit better. Maybe we'd have a better time understanding. So he needs a heavy-duty vehicle that can get in and out of these situations.
Yes, they're not just driving up and down city roads or,
Okay.
through.
That's all I wanted to know.
Thank you, Councilman. Yeah. Any other questions from members of the council? Any questions from members of the public? Do you have any questions from members of the public? Madam Clerk, I'd like a PCR on this, please. Thank you. I need a motion on PCR 8325.
Move favorable action.
Do we have a second? We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? I oppose. We have 2 yes and we have 2 no. Thank you. Good point. Mr. President, do you wish to convene the council?
Yes, please.
Okay, let the record indicate it is now 6:32 and the Finance Committee will stand in recess.
All right, we're going to convene the full council now at 6:33 PM. Clerk will please call the roll.
Here.
Yeah.
Here.
Here.
All right, Councilman Gebhardt, if you could please lead us in the salute to the flag. All right, first, general communications, announcements of congratulations, condolences, or community events. Does anyone have anything? Councilman Gebhardt?
I think it's been mentioned a few times tonight, but just kudos to the hard work for all the city employees that was put in over the weekend with the storm and since. So,
Point well taken. Anyone else for general communications? All right, seeing none. Next, executive communications, we have none. Next is acceptance of minutes from the council meeting held on June 16th, 2025. Is there any objection to approving the said minutes as presented? Seeing none, so approved. Next, we have public comment. Rule 41, after general communications and prior to the consent calendar at the last regularly scheduled meeting of the city council each month, there shall be a period of time not to exceed 30 minutes during which citizens may comment about Warwick city government issues subject to the following stipulations. The total period of time for public comment shall not exceed 30 minutes. Comments need to be brief in order to allow as many citizens as possible to participate. Each citizen signed up and present shall have not to exceed 5 minutes to speak, provided, however, that if more than 6 citizens are signed up and present, the 30 minutes will be split evenly amongst speakers. Time shall not be transferable among speakers. The topics for comment shall be issues directly affecting city government. Excuse me. City council members will not respond to questions during the public comment period. The public comment session will terminate at the expiration of the earlier of all speakers concluding their allotted time or 30 minutes. Waiver of this provision requires unanimous vote of the council. First up, we have Richard Langseth.
Richard Langseth, Budlong Farm. As we discussed last time, the mayor has pocketed the request for a solicitor's opinion on the public nature of Buttonwoods Avenue. This is crucial to the harbor management plan, which will be reviewed by the council in September. And if the solicitor's opinion is not given by then, I suspect that there's going to be some retribution, some legal action taken against the city because they're not, the staff is not working to get the harbor management plan together according to what the Harbor Management Commission wanted. This month we have a new problem, and that's the comprehensive plan. On Wednesday, I'll be asked to speak before the planning board about the recreational aspects of the new comprehensive plan. They include shoreline recognition, which of course is public access to the various rights of way to the shore. And I'm not quite sure how, with the harbor management plan stuck, not being able to get a opinion about whether Buttonwoods Avenue is public or private, it creates hardship for me. It's said in the new comprehensive plan, there are 41 CRMC designated rights of way to the shore in Warwick. Now we know that's not correct, and I'll certainly be commenting on that Wednesday night. In addition, there are 36 rights of way to the shore, mostly in the form of beachways or passageways, as well as over 100 public rights of way to the shore from dedicated highway access points. These numbers are probably exaggerated, but it is large. The city of Warwick is going through massive changes, as we know now. Real estate prices are reaching $500,000 for single-family homes. Why? Because new people moving into town really want good public service, and they expect to be able to access the shore. And when the mayor pockets the request for a determination about whether a highway is public or not, that impacts whether people want to move to this city or not. I don't know of any other city or town in Rhode Island where the government is blocking the ability to even review whether a street is public or not. Now, you all know, I too believe that Buttonwoods Avenue has been a public highway since the 1700s. That's in Royal Maps. In addition, it's been dedicated to the public by the Buttonwood Beach Association. The Buttonwood Beach Association has gone to the city council and asked the city council to recognize Buttonwoods Avenue as a public highway in 1976, which the city council did. And then in 1976, the city council agreed to abandon a street called F Avenue in the Buttonwoods Fire District, which was a public highway, and by the way, remains that today. Despite the city council action, the Buttonwoods Fire District and Buttonwood Beach Association has decided not to post the road as abandoned. So in 2019, the Buttonwoods Fire District was asked to sign an agreement that it would not maintain the street, which the city council abandoned in 1976. This is a disaster, okay? I don't know why people in Warwick would want the city council to block investigations of this street, which is an extremely important public access to the beaches of Rhode Island. So I would urge my council person, who I've talked to briefly about this, and the others to move forward and to suggest to the mayor that he release the solicitor opinion so that we can get a
20 seconds, Mr. Langseth.
so that we can get a decent recognition from the city of its prior commitment, its prior 1976 commitment that the streets of Buttonwoods are public, and just move forward. There are just 80,000 anymore, but there are thousands of people in Warwick who are served here, not just 100 people in
Time's
the
up, Mr. Langseth.
Okay, people in the fire district. By the way, you didn't give me a minute's notice. Thank you.
Mr. Lazo, she did give you notice. I apologize. There were some issues with the mic. Rob Cody, you're up next.
Rob Cody, Ward 7. First, a word about the Warwick Fire Department. So my latest public record request on sick time shows the department in the calendar year 2024 took just under 1,700 sick days. Through the documents that I have obtained over the last 10 years, I've been keeping track of it, it clearly shows the same group of individuals manipulating the system and taking 25, 30, 35, and even more days off. Let's be clear, they're not sick. They're scheming the system. They've been scheming the system like an organized theft group for a very long time, and we've done nothing about it. We haven't even pursued the current lawsuit, the litigation that it's in the Superior Court right now. So no one's doing a damn thing about the controlled theft scheme. So I think what I'm going to do next month, since I have all the official documents, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the worst 50 offenders, and I'm going to name them here at the podium with the number of sick days they've taken. And I might even name where they work, you know, like the guys that have the tree cutting company, the plumber, the carpenter, you know, I might name that too. Because this is a scheme, it's got a friggin' end. This is nonsense, we're getting robbed. And they don't do anything about it. And now for some current events. You'll enjoy this. It's been brought to my attention that last week a DPW supervisor assaulted a subordinate worker by headbutting him while on the job. I've been informed that HR has pressured the victim not to file criminal charges and to contact the police. How many more lawsuits are the taxpayer, have to incur? So what I hear the punishment for the supervisor, by the way, same supervisor that we have video of drinking on the job on city property, hasn't been fired. We've got another DiPetrillo situation here. You don't suspend them. They raise a hand to an employee, fired on the spot. But he was suspended and allowed to take home his city vehicle to his home, which is 9/10 of a mile down the road on Sandy Lane. Who's running this asylum? This is insane. So I want to reach out to the victim. I'm very easy to contact. Everyone knows how to contact me. I implore you to contact me so I can connect you with the proper legal counsel to go after this individual and the city and be compensated justly. The public should understand that the atmosphere allowed to proliferate in this department is going to continue to cause the taxpayers more and more costs and legal ramifications. Also, I want a word to Mr. Sinapi. After the last council meeting, I took some time to review several of the public speaking portions of the council meeting since you've been the president. And what I noticed that during the time that the general public speaks, you never make eye contact. As you are now, you fiddle with your computer, you go on your phone, you fiddle with paperwork, and you never make eye contact with the person speaking. That reeks of arrogance and ignorance. And I don't even think you realize it. Contrary to your own popular belief, you are not the smartest guy in the room, which was evident by the comments that you attempted to make to me at the last council meeting, stating that your litigation practices have no bearing within city council chambers with the public. You should check Supreme Court rules and regulations on that, as I have. I'll be more than happy to send you the case information. Anyone can talk about any of your activities in your employment while you are a member of the city council. You have no expectation or right to privacy. And look, the guy doesn't even make eye contact. He ignores the general public. I just can't get over the arrogance exuded by this guy. And he's the council president, right? What message do you think that you're sending the general public? This is not a well-run city, and you're sitting there as one of the main people with this other nitwit in the back office that allows employees to comport themselves in a violent manner, causing us, the taxpayer, to have to write the check. Where does it end? When is someone going to have the balls to step up and stop this? Because the residents of Warwick have had enough. Thank you.
All right, that concludes public comment. Normally, we would go back to finance, but unless there's any objection, I'd like to go to public safety, as there's, I believe the claimant is here. So rather than making her wait potentially hours, I'd rather handle that first. Does anyone have any objection to going to public safety first? All right, seeing none, we can resume committees, and starting with public safety, please.
Public safety, it is 6:50. All right. First order of business is to accept the minutes. You threw me off, Chair, President. I'm sorry? Oh. Which, I don't have the page. Which meeting minutes was the last one? We didn't have a. May 5th, okay. Need an approval for the meeting minutes for May 5th.
Motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Meeting minutes approved. That's right. We're going to do this again, right? All right. Also looking for a motion for meeting minutes for May 5th.
Motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All righty. So we have one item on our agenda. It is a claim for road repair, council claim, and the claimant is Brenda Caracuzo. Yes. Would you mind coming to the mic and just sharing with us just to, while Mrs. Caruso is going to the podium? The background of the claim is that she hit a pothole on Commonwealth Ave, causing damage to her tire. She submitted several quotes and the paperwork for the tire, as well as some of the other requirements, the registration, invoices, and estimates. And I'll let you tell your story.
You don't remember me? You don't remember me?
Oh, I remember you. Yes.
And your brothers and
Yeah.
everybody?
I do.
I don't have too much to say. It's just that I think that it's.
Can you speak into the mic, please?
It's a lot of money for one tire, $400. So I decided to appeal it. And I'm also a former employee of the city of Warwick, and I'm a senior citizen.
I believe half of that, but go ahead.
You believe that I'm a senior citizen? Yes.
No, half of that.
Well, anyway, I'd like to appeal it and get the $300, which is not as much as $400.
Okay.
I think it's very high.
Okay, great. Any questions from the committee? No?
So the director, I believe, is here, and he recommended denial of this claim, so it's here before us under our new procedures. I'd like to hear from the director on this.
Who was that?
Earls, Director Earls.
Director of what,
Earls.
highway? Hi.
Eric Earls, Public Works.
You're Director of Highway?
Director of Public Works, yes.
And who are you?
Excuse me. Just one person talking at a time right now. I've asked for the director's opinion on this.
Yeah, so we follow the standard guidelines regarding the timing of the submission, and this wasn't submitted in that window.
And director, the rules require it to be filed within what time frame?
30 days.
I believe
this-
that it,
Oh, I'm sorry, 7.
Right.
Right.
Okay. And those rules have been there for how long?
It's, those are state, right? Those are state guidelines, so I don't know how long.
State guidelines.
Yeah.
I believe that.
And this is the reason
town-
why you denied the claim?
Yes.
Because it wasn't filed in a timely manner?
Yes. And I believe there was also language in there about, there was the tire itself was, I think it was $98, but there was also brake work that was included, which we wouldn't have approved regardless.
Correct. That's exactly right. The one tire is $98. Then it's got front pads and rotors and front pads and calipers or something or other. But in any event, this is why you denied it, because it wasn't filed in a timely manner,
Correct.
far beyond the 7 days.
Correct.
Thank you.
Any questions? No? Okay. So thank you, Director. This was part of our new process and appreciate your diligence in going through the process here. I do feel, the claim for the tire and brakes is outside of our tire and the brakes is outside of our refund policy, but the refund for the tire, $98, does fall within that. So I would make a motion to approve the $98 reimbursement for this case.
So, Mr. Chairman, before I make a comment on the motion. So, I mean, we've gone down this road many times in the past. And one of the biggest reasons why the council rules were amended was to have this fall into the director's overview, because that individual has a first hands-on contact of exactly what's going on here. So I guess the question would be, where do you stop? How many times are we going to change the rules? How many times are we going to make adjustments? How many days is okay to be late? We have, let me back up. I have called department heads on the table constantly for coming to us late with their bids because it doesn't meet the requirements or the rules. And we've had those conversations. We have a situation here where it's a couple of weeks out from what the time frame is. So where do you cut the line? Where do you divide the line? Where do you say it's okay if you're 3 days late or you're 5 days extra late? If that's the case, then change the rule. If you don't appreciate or like or agree with the 5-day time frame, and I'm not speaking directly to you, I'm saying in general, if the council doesn't think that 5 days is adequate or 7 days is adequate, then change the rule. Make it 20 days instead if you think that 7 is not adequate. But right now, the rule is 7. And the director has been charged with this responsibility of making that decision. I think he has made a decision responsibly based upon the rules. And given that there is such a big time frame difference, I'm not going to be able to support that. So again, if we as a body don't agree with 7 days, we don't think it's adequate, then change the rule. Go to the state and change the rule. We didn't make the rules. The state made the rules. That's my position. Thank you.
No, I appreciate your point of view on that, and I appreciate the new process and the guidelines that Director Earls and his team have to abide by. I'm looking at this as the past exceptions, as you mentioned, the rules are the rules, but if timing is the only one and it's within 7 days of the deadline, here we have a constituent that's went filled out the paperwork, but was 7 days late. I'm up to giving the benefit of the doubt for the $98. So again, I'll make my motion to approve.
Is there going to be comments from other members of the council?
Oh, yeah. I thought I did that, but any other comments from the council?
So I have a question too.
Yeah. Councilman? DeLuise?
I would have to agree with you, Councilman. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars that we spend. I think we can afford $98 to this nice lady. I've hit many potholes. I just replaced one of my tires last week. I think, the director, there's rules, and, if we were talking $10,000, then I would have a problem, but I think I'm going to agree with you on this one.
It's from the council?
Yeah, I have one.
Oh, go ahead, Mr. President.
So I'm slightly confused because while the affidavit is dated the 30th, the claim form states that finance was notified on the 17th, which is also the same date as the invoice too. So I'm just not sure what the discrepancy is between one document says the 30th, one says the 17th. So if we could ask the claimant when finance was actually notified.
On the 30th, that's when I got my power of attorney. That's the soonest I could get her. I believe in overall, and that's why I came here, is because mail wasn't always on time either. Either way, in getting things sent in. Maybe it wasn't what did you say, 5 days? I didn't think it was, I thought it was less than that. Because one thing was, I got on a Friday and I never mailed it, the answer until the following.
So just for clarification, the date of the incident was April 17th, 2025.
Okay.
And the affidavit was signed April 30th, 2025, and submitted to finance on 5/1/2025.
What was it? Subject?
I notified.
Oh, so I have a document here,
I didn't see that.
and I'm looking at this now, and it is signed by the claimant, and it says, "I notified the Finance Public Works Department on April 17th, 2025." But yet, at the bottom of this claim form, it's dated 5/1/2025. So now I'm confused.
How many
Which
days
date-
is that?
which date is
How
it?
many days is that? I thought it was just under the 14th.
It's on the City of Warwick claim form that you had filled out, and you put the date of the incident was April 17th, 2025 at 2 p.m., which is fine. And down further, you stated that I notified the Finance Public Works Department on April, at first it was, looks like it was April 22nd, but then that was scratched out to say April 17th. Keep in mind, April 22nd was still within the time frame. And that date you have was April 17th, 2025, but at the bottom of the claim form, you dated it for April 1st, 2025. Now, when you notified the Public Works Department on April 17th, did you do that in writing, or was it a phone call, or how did you notify them on April 17th?
I went in there I went to the office.
You went to the office on April 17th?
Yeah.
Okay. By any chance, did,
Well, no, at 12th, yeah, on the 17th, yeah. First, I got the tire fixed. And then I reported it the next day, so I guess it's 14th.
so you went to DPW's office on April 17th and reported it?
I just said the next day. I don't remember the exact date.
Okay.
Is that what it was then?
Well,
Then I received the denial, and then it was in the 14 days considering mail delivery and weekends and that. So I decided to reappeal.
Mr. Chairman, I guess, given the confusion with the dates,
It's $98.
it's $98, okay?
All right. So again, any other questions from the public? No?
Whatever.
I'm not seeing any from the committee, council, or public. I'll again ask for a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the amount of $98.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have the time?
If you do, I do.
Yeah.
What happens now?
7:07.
Does the check sent to me or what?
The check's in the mail. No, I'm only
No,
fooling.
no. Just gotta vote.
You have to take that up with them. Those are the people with the money.
You have to wait for it to get signed by the mayor, then it'll get sent to finance. Finance will contact you. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the business of the public safety at, you didn't tell me the time.
7:06.
7:06.
All right, if we can go back to finance, please.
You
The time is 7:07 and the Warwick City Council Finance Committee is back in order. The next item is item number 6, 2026-104, purchase 2 2025 F-150 police vehicles. Major.
Good afternoon, Robert Hart from the Police Department.
Good afternoon, Major. Welcome to your first meeting. I also want to take a moment to recognize and thank you for reaching out to me early on about reviewing the items that you have in this bid package with me, getting some questions asked and some questions answered on both sides. And I would certainly encourage all the department heads to do that. I'll be more than happy to sit with you, but that's up to you to reach out. And I appreciate that, Major, and look forward to working with you.
That was my pleasure. It was a learning experience for me.
I hope it was a good one. Okay, Major, go ahead. I understand that you have a request on this item.
We do. For item number 6, for the 2 Ford F-150s police vehicles, we're asking to withdraw this bid from the docket.
Okay. Do we need any action on this? Okay. PCR. Madam Clerk. Thank you. Okay, we have a motion from the department to withdraw. I need a motion. We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. So let's try and repeat that, Major. You're on a roll, right? Okay. Item number 7. I don't know if 7's a lucky number or not, but item number 7, 2026-105, 2 Dodge Durango Pursuit, found on page 34. We had a lot of discussion about this vehicle, the needs, et cetera, et cetera. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Councilman. The Police Department is requesting a fixed 5610 use of state bid to purchase 2 Dodge Durango all-wheel drive vehicles from Central Chrysler Jeep of Rainham, Massachusetts, under the State of Rhode Island Master Price Agreement number 563. These 2024 model year police package vehicles are leftover inventory and are offered at a discount rate of over $3,300 per vehicle. These 2 vehicles would be assigned to the patrol sergeant section of our fleet and would be replacing 2 vehicles further down in the department's fleet. The total pricing for the 2 vehicles is $131,379.40. This includes upfitting and equipment installation. If approved, they would be funded through the city lease purchase funds, budget code 499-0449. The police department has the fiscal year 26 police capital budget, which includes $1.1 million for vehicles.
And Major, tell us why you've decided to go with the Dodge Durangos.
Well, they're currently on the lot and they're offered at a reduced price. They're ready to go and can be delivered later this summer, early this fall. There's also a move to departments around the state and around New England to try out the Dodge Durangos, including Rhode Island State Police, Rhode Island Airport Corporation, North Providence, North Kingstown. These departments have tried them. They like them. Again, these are leftover vehicles with the discounts. We figured we'd give them a try and see how they work out in our fleet.
And given the fact that the department has just brought on 15 new police officers, talk to us about how that plays into needing these two vehicles.
Absolutely. So once these officers finish their field training and we're at essentially what would be full complement, we'll have more officers on the road per shift, first, second, and third shift. Hopefully more sergeants on the road at a full complement of at least 3 per shift. So we have more need for frontline vehicles in the fleet ready to go. And as you know, and as we discussed, vehicles can go out of service rather quickly. As of this morning, I have 9 vehicles out of service, either for accidents, repairs, waiting on parts. I have 3 on the lift in the garage right now. So that all happened since our last conversation on Thursday when we talked about the state of the fleet. So things can happen very quickly.
And the two vehicles that, the current 2 vehicles that these new vehicles will replace, talk to us about that.
So these purchased vehicles will become sergeant supervisor vehicles. The 2 vehicles in the sergeant fleet will then get trickled down to third shift to be patrol vehicles. And the third shift vehicles will become detail vehicles. And ultimately, we're replacing 2 detail vehicles, which are 2011 Crown Victorias, which notes from my fleet manager show that they have rotting frames, rotted out floors, have power train control modules that are in need of repair. One has mileage of over 83,000 miles and engine hours of over 15,000 engine idle hours. And the other one, we don't know the reading because the odometer doesn't work.
So I guess, the long and the short is that it wouldn't make any sense to purchase a $60,000 vehicle and use it for details, right?
Correct.
You use
We use
secondhand vehicle for details, right?
We use vehicles that are nearing
Right.
their rough end of life based on mileage, engine hours, and general condition of the vehicle. And detail vehicles do become revenue producing as well.
And even then, when the police department decides that, that third shift vehicle no longer meets the needs of the police department, that's recycled to like the building inspectors department, right? Building inspectors, they get those vehicles because they don't need to have like brand new vehicles running around doing inspections, right?
That is correct. So
Correct.
city departments get first dibs on the vehicle. Just this year alone, we gave over 2 Ford Taurus sedans. I believe they were 2016s that were stripped of the equipment, repainted, and given to the building department.
Okay. So for me, this certainly meets the definition of a need versus a want. Any other questions from members of the committee? Councilman Muto.
Thank you. Thank you, Major. Just more of a comment. I want to echo what Councilman and Chairman Lattiser said, that the process that the Warwick Police Department uses to replenish their fleet and recycle within the force is excellent process. Also, on a separate note, very excited about the 15 new officers and very excited about the future mission of the police with more community policing and the health impacts for our officers on the front line. So I really appreciate that, and I really look forward to working with the Warwick Police Department, anything that we can do to help support your mission. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Any other questions from members of the committee? Any questions from members of the council? Do we have any questions from members of the council? Any questions from members of the public? Do we have any questions from members of the public? Thank you. Thank you, Major. Moving on to item number 8, 2025-039, found on page 39, purchase of bulk salt.
Christy Moretti, Public Works.
Talk to me.
Public Works is requesting to extend the bid for the purchase of bulk road salt for an additional year, a mutual agreement with the vendor for for the contract. It will expire October 28, 2026 in the amount of $120,000.
And Christie, how is this number compared to last year?
Last year, we requested $150,000.
So you've shaved this by 30 grand.
Yes.
And in addition to that, this bid doesn't expire until a long time.
Is that right? October, right?
Seriously, as I said before, you're right on now. Thank you. So Christie, is the reason that you've lowered the purchase of the salt because of the price of the salt has gone down?
No, the reason we lowered the request is because our budget, our line item for this is reduced by $30,000.
Okay. And when you made that budget request of 30,000 less, that wasn't anticipating a reduction in salt or cost of salt?
No.
Okay. So there had to be a reason for it. You just didn't drop 30K off. Is it because you needed less salt last year, lack of snow, whatever, right?
So we had to make some budget reductions, and this is one of the line items that we took it from for
Okay.
fiscal year 26.
How do you buy this salt? Does this salt go by the truckload? Does it go by the pound, by the barrel, by the bag? How do you
So
pay for it?
We buy it by the ton.
By the
and
ton?
Yes, and it comes on in a trailer truck.
Okay. And what would you guess that you have for, let me back up. How much per ton do you pay?
$73.10.
$73.10. And what would be your guess as to how much salt you have on hand now?
So in anticipation of potentially, sorry, the words are, a potential shortage of road salt, we actually stuffed our salt barn recently, so we're full.
Okay. Okay. Any questions from members of the committee? Any questions from members of the committee that are not at the table? We're not talking about table salt, Councilman. Any questions from members of the council? Any questions from members of the public? Do we have any questions from members of the public? Hearing none. Thank you, Christine. Moving on to item number 9, 2026-044, found on page 49, asphalt concrete.
I'm going to hang around for this one too. Public Works is requesting to award to all 6 bidders that submitted a bid for the purchase of hot mixes, coal patch, in the amount of $80,000 for 1 year, September 15th, 25 to September 14th, 26.
Christie, did Venegro take over Cardi Corporation?
Yes.
Okay. So technically, Venegro is a Warwick contractor too.
Yes, they are.
Okay. And when I looked through the bids, I know you've included all of these companies in your request, and I don't have a problem with that. I would just like to point out that Venegro, at least on the 3 items they bid, are the lowest price of all, in addition to the 7% edge that they could have if they were out of whack. So I'm sure that Venegro will certainly be the first choice on those 3 items.
Well, yes, and because
Assuming you
it's
have
local
what you
to
need.
us, so we don't have to travel to East Providence or wherever to pick up hot mix.
Okay. As opposed to another company who on the winter mix is like out in left field sometime. So I would just expect that they'll be the last number in the calling chain. Any questions from members of the council on asphalt? Committee? Any questions from members of the council? Do we have any questions from members of the council? Any questions from members of the public? Do we have any questions from members of the public? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 10, 2026-095. Flock license reading cameras, found on page 58.
Robert Hart for the Police Department. The Police Department is requesting a 56-6 exception to bid to expend funds to extend our current contract with Flock Safety for another 2 years. This contract includes 11 automated license plate readers. Since its implementation 2 years ago, our Flock cameras and access to the larger Flock network has resulted in at least 58 success stories ranging from locating vehicles involved in hit and runs, locating missing persons, and locating vehicles associated with serious crimes such as robberies and assaults. The total cost for this 2-year contract is $68,000 or $34,000 per year. We currently maintain, as you know, a Flock transparency portal on our website. We anticipate no changes to our current policy and have had no complaints regarding our Flock cameras since their inception. These cameras have become an integral part in the majority of our investigations and are considered a standard tool in law enforcement. If approved, these funds would be allocated from the Federal Asset Forfeiture Fund. The contract would renew on September 15th, 2025 and expire September 14th, 2027.
And you said they come out of the asset forfeiture account?
That is correct.
Okay. So Major, I know these cameras were approved prior to you taking over. I had voted no on those cameras, and I listed a whole armful of reasons why. I won't bother regurgitating all of those, but they're here and they're being installed, and some of them are actually in trial basis right now. So, like it or not, they're here. What's that?
Point of order.
Oh, go ahead.
This is the Flock cameras which read the license.
Oh,
plate.
okay, got it. Traffic cams, okay. It says that and can never be used for facial recognition. Now, I think this presentation paper was put together before you took over. I seem to remember a different conversation on that these cameras could be programmed to do that. Do you know anything about that?
No, sir. I have no knowledge of that. And from what I know from Flock, based on what we've used and through their website, this is solely for vehicle descriptions, vehicle make, model, color, and for license plates.
Okay.
There's no human interaction, no AI type of facial recognition at all.
Okay. It also says in here that the tracking will be removed in 30 days. So I'm going to ask the question this way, and I'm going to compare it to Shred It. So I call Shred It in. They shred a whole bunch of documents for me, et cetera. I get a receipt for all of 10 bins that they shred, the date, the time, which documents that information has been removed. Does the police department get a receipt from or some type of accountability from whoever is wiping out this information every 30 days?
I don't believe we get a monthly report that it is, but it's part of the contract that it will be automatically deleted after 30 days. And we can't search anything after 30 days, so that's proof that it's being done.
And you can't request it after 30 days because of what?
It's gone.
Supposedly it's gone, but you said you can't request it after 30 days. Is there a state law?
No. I said
that
I
says you
can't search anything that's over 30 days old.
You can't search anything over 30 days. And is that by law or because you assume that information has been erased?
That is part of our contract with Flock. After 30 days, it is deleted.
Okay, so there is no proof. The police department doesn't receive any proof that this information has been deleted.
The only proof would be is that I cannot run anything after 30 days. There's no data in the system that's over 30 days of old,
Okay.
which follows the city ordinance.
Okay. Any questions from members of the committee? Yes, Councilman Napa.
Major, if I could ask you to just speak on the community involvement and community partners that have flock systems that we can increase our coverage on these. If you can just maybe touch on that, like how we utilize the systems that Home Depot and Lowe's have in place to expand the PD's reach without
Yes.
any additional cost to us.
So the benefit of the flock system is they allow private vendors to, is this working? The benefit of the flock system is that they allow private vendors to purchase the system. So what we're seeing now is large corporations like Lowe's and Home Depot that have organized retail theft are purchasing these cameras for their own loss prevention, but also sharing their cameras and sharing their network with law enforcement in the communities where they have these cameras posted.
Thank you, Major. I think that's a good benefit to the PD and the community. Just one additional thought that I had. So this is a 2-year term contract following up on the 2-year term that just expired. Does Falcon or does the flock safety camera company offer contract periods that are longer? Just thinking forward here, anticipating that cost of maintenance and operation, having these systems are going to go up. But is it possible to extend that period? I'm assuming the PD intends to keep these systems in place for quite a while. Has that been looked at all?
I'm not sure, but I can get that information for you. It's probably tomorrow.
Okay. No rush, just a thought. Maybe the next time it comes up, if we could, if the intention of the PD is to keep this in place, if we can lock in for a longer period of time, it may make some fiscal sense.
I'll look into that.
Thank you.
All set, Councilman? Any other questions from members of the council? Any questions from members of the public? Do we have any questions from members of the public? Hearing none, move on to item number 11, 2026-052, post-type fire hydrants. It's found on page 63.
Christy Moretti on behalf of the Water Division. The Water Division would like to award the bid for the purchase of fire hydrants to John Hoadley and Sons in the amount of $65,000 for a 1-year period, August 1925 to August 18 of 26.
We have any questions from members of the committee? Any questions from members of the council? Any questions from members of the public? Do you have any questions from members of the public? Hearing none, move on to item number 12. Thank you, Christy. 2026-065, found on page 68, vehicle body repair and painting.
Robert
Sorry?
Hart for the police department.
Okay. Yes, Councilman Napa, we'll get the PCR after. Councilman Napa, just keep in mind, no conversation, no questions. Sir.
Robert Hart for the police department. The police department went out to bid for vehicle body repair and painting. Bids were received from 4 vendors: West Warwick Auto Body of West Warwick, Affordable Auto Body of Warwick, A1 Custom Auto Body of East Providence, and Moons Auto Body of Warwick. The police department recommends awarding this contract to all 4 vendors so we can keep a rotating list as we have been doing. The department is seeking spending authority in the amount of $35,000 from Budget Code 30-330, Auto and Vehicle Maintenance, and $20,000 from Budget Code 76-358, Insurance Proceeds, for $55,000 total. The contract period will begin August 23rd, 2025, and expire August 22nd, 2026.
Any questions from members of the committee? Any questions from members of the council? Do we have any questions from members of the public? Any questions from members of the public? Madam Clerk, PCR number, please. We have PCR 8525. Let the record indicate that Councilman Napa is abstaining. I need a motion on PCR 8525.
Move favorable action.
We have a motion favorable. We have a second. Any opposed? All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Thank you, Major. Next item, number 13, 2026-064, found on page 75, Class A, body repair and painting. Major?
Councilman, the police department went out to bid for Class A auto body repair and painting. Bids were received from Gentile's Auto Body of East Providence, West Warwick Auto Body of West Warwick. The police department recommends awarding the contract to both vendors to keep a rotating list as we have been doing. The department is seeking authority in the amount of $35,000 from Budget Code 30-330, auto and vehicle maintenance, and $20,000 from Budget Code 76-358, insurance proceeds, for a total spending authority of $55,000. The contract period will begin August 23rd, 2025, and expire August 22nd, 2026.
Major, in our conversation recently, you had explained to us, the difference between Class A body repair and the previous body repair. Could you just put that out there for my colleagues and members of the public?
Yes. Class A is full collision repair license that requires the licensee to perform all types of motor vehicle bodywork, in addition to satisfying the requirements of Class B, which we previously just talked about. And by completing showing evidence of certification to repair and refinish aluminum, high-strength steel, and other metal alloy by at least one automobile manufacturer. So these Class A has to meet the standards of at least one of the motor vehicle manufacturers for different types of welding and other materials and workmanship.
And by that alone, it somewhat calls in the amount of people that could bid on this, right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from members of the committee? Any questions from members of the council? Do you have any questions from members of the public? Any questions from members of the public? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number, nope, that's it, we're done. Item number 14 is under 50. We're done with the 50 and over.
Do we need a
Are there
PCR
any-
for that? Do we need a PCR for the second one, the Class A?
No.
No.
Are there any items anyone would like to have pulled out from the committee under 50?
Yeah.
Councilman Muto?
No, I was gonna pull out 23.
Number 23? Okay.
That's for,
You want to pull out item number 23?
yeah. it's
Are you
for-
sure?
For Ward 3. Yeah, he's gonna.
Okay,
pull it out, yeah.
Councilman Napa, we'll let you pull out
All right,
item
yeah.
number,
He was busy.
okay? Yeah, 2026. Don't go messing in someone else's sandbox. Okay. Anything else? Councilman Napa has won the fight on that. Anything else? Okay. Councilman Napa, item 2026-097. Go to it.
Thank you, Chairman. So this is just a request for DPW to assist with purchase of one solar speed sign for Ward 3. The intention of placement for that sign is on Puritan Ave, on the inlet side where Elmwood Ave comes off of Post Road and becomes Puritan through like that Sand Pond area. I went over there to meet with some neighbors living in that area. Cars are flying pretty quickly. It appears as you're coming down the road that it kind of opens up and is a non-residential area because it gets treed and woody, and then you get back quickly into residential area. So there's no stop signs on that road. It's just sort of unabated through from the main road in, so it becomes a bit of a speed drag. We've seen some positive outcomes with speed signs in that Sand Pond cut-through area that gets back out to Warwick Ave on other streets, and we're hoping that reduces the speed of traffic through that cut-through neighborhood as well, hopefully mitigating any potential liabilities or serious accidents that may happen in the future.
Okay. Anyone have any other questions on that? Councilman Muto?
Nope.
You sure?
Positive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Need a motion on the bid package.
Move favorable action?
Do we have a motion? Need a second?
Second.
Do we have a second? Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. The next item is PCO 15-25. It's an ordinance providing that employee contributions to the OPEB trust reduce the city's required contribution. This is for second passage. Council President Sinapi on behalf of Mayor Picozzi.
So I defer to the administration, but this is second passage.
Correct.
Bill Vicente, Chief of Staff to Mayor Pacozzi. In favor of moving this to second passage.
Okay, that's easy enough. Any questions by the committee? Any questions from the council? Any questions from members of the public? Any questions from members of the public? Hearing none, need a motion?
Move favorable action.
Second.
We have a motion, we have 2 seconds, all in favor? Any
Aye.
other discussion? None, all in favor? All right, thank you. The Finance Committee is adjourned at 7:36.
So next we have intergovernmental.
That's okay.
Get one of those sheets. Yeah, you couldn't find it. What's that? This is it? How are you, sir?
See it. Had it up front for the.
Yeah, last week.
Yeah.
Am I afraid? Should I be afraid?
Time is now 7:39. Intergovernmental comes to order. First item for action, acceptance of the minutes from the committee meeting held on June 16th.
Motion, move favorable action.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Numero uno, PCR 1625, resolution amending the rules of the Warwick City Council for the 25-26 term. Sponsor, President Snappy. Council President, you want to make any comments?
Yeah, so bear in mind, there's a sub B posted for everyone. My preference is, while we can discuss everything within that and elsewise, that we reserve all the amendments till it's on the floor. That way we can do it all there cleaner. That being said, so the point of this, and including the sub B, is one, some of the stuff is cleanup, just like before. You'll notice certain things are deleted that are no longer applicable, like the Wetlands Act stuff. Sometimes there's items deleted just because it's redundant, like you'll see in intergovernmental, it was saying how we hold things, even though how we hold things is already laid out elsewhere. So it was just redundant and unnecessary. Unlike last time, the dates now are fixed in the sub B, so you're not losing all days for review. There's a portion in here for the state and federal legislation. However, that's one of the things I'm likely going to propose to amend later, because I want to solicit more feedback and tweak it a bit and present to you all some multiple options, because it is a weird issue and I don't want to rush it, especially with the General Assembly not in session. There's not a good reason to rush right now, so we might as well take our time with it. And we've also addressed the whole mandating either the treasurer, the clerk, et cetera. That's all been removed. But per the request of several members on the council, those items are still reflected elsewhere. It's just now it's not a mandate on people we have no authority or ability to mandate. You'll see that at the very end in Rule 43. There's also further discussions about modifying Rule 42. It won't be for tonight, but Councilman Ricks has requested we look into it in respect of adding a 5-year plan. And you've heard from members of the public, or at least one in particular, Ms. Komar mentioned having an auditor there as well. So we're trying to figure out logistic-wise if that's something we can do. And then also figure out if the costs associated. So there's a lot going on, and there's stuff that's contemplated for future. But this is what we have before us for tonight. So I'm happy to take any questions, although some of them I'll have to punt to the solicitor because he's the responsible for much, if not all, of the cleanup.
Okay. Any members of the committee? Questions? Comments? Feedback?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair to Council President, I just want to confirm that on page 6, Rule 15, the time change has been adjusted to 6:30.
So that'll definitely be one of the proposed amendments once this is on the floor. Absolutely.
Oh, okay, so you make these amendments afterwards?
Yep.
Okay. My other concerns, you and I met earlier today. They had either already been changed or will be changed tonight. So I don't have any other questions. You've explained, amongst others, also my concern with having both the actuary and the auditors present before the budget hearings. That's something that I'll address at a future time. So I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the council? Members of the public? Or local media? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
Motion to move favorable action.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Number 2, PCR 6725, a resolution requesting the General Assembly to amend RIGL 1785 to include Warwick, the city of Warwick, in the list of municipal councils authorized to approve the employment and compensation of local canvassing authorities. This one has been before us previously. I think, did we hold?
We held it last time.
We held it, okay. But we did discuss, right?
We did.
That's my recollection.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, got it.
Council President has
Mr. Chairman.
newly discovered information.
Something to add?
No, it's me.
Yeah, it's the sponsor wishes to say something, and as do I. I'll let him speak first, though.
Councilman Lattiser.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I'm going to make a motion to, or request a motion to hold this until August 18th.
The sponsor would like it held. Any opposition amongst the committee? Or do you have anything you want to add?
So I was just going to say the Board of Canvassers, or Board of Elections rather, responded like only an hour or so before the meeting, and some of it's going to require follow-up. So I had actually requested Councilman Lattiser to hold it so that we can dig into what they provided and get some more information. And so much appreciated it for him and the request to hold.
Makes sense.
And can that information be disseminated to the council through the liaison?
Absolutely. That's the intent.
Okay, great. All right. Seeing no opposition to hold, can I have a motion to hold?
Motion to hold till August 18th.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. there's no more business before us. So intergovernmental stands adjourned at 7:46.
Just that resolution, because they just let him know. We just let him know what his questions, his answers to his questions were as we were walking in.
All right, so we can go back to the full council meeting now. First, we have announcement of appointments. Patuxent River Authority, we have Ashley Gilchrist, Ward 3. Next, we have the consent calendar, PCR 81-25, resolution relative to bids. Councilman Lattiser.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item number 1, 2026-033, State Street Water Pump. Item 2, 2026-092, Purchase Side Loading Vehicle. Item number 4, 2026-100, SIGCOM Radio. Item number 6, purchase 2, sorry, that was, yeah, no, move on. Item number 7, purchase 2 Durango trucks. Item number 8, 2025-039, purchase salt. Number 9, 2026-044, asphalt. Number 10, 2026-095, flock license reading cameras. Item number 11, post-type fire hydrants. Item number 13, 2026-064, Class A body repair. Item number 14, 2025-357, annual bituminous concrete. Number 15, 2025-189, Alpha police personnel uniforms. 16, 2026-102, WPD undercover operations. Number 17, 2026-096, purchase 1 tilt bed equipment trailer. 18, 2026-048, parts washer rental. 19, 2026-079, gasoline for police marine unit. Number 20, 2026-101, EPR fireworks software. 21, 2026-103, encased software. Number 22, 2022-170, State of Rhode Island liquid propane. Number 23, 2026-097, 1 solar speed sign. 2024, number 24, item 24, 2026-099, Celebrate certification. Number 25, 2026-078, ARCUS licensing. Number 26, 2023-301, State of Rhode Island automotive repairs. 27, 2023-300, State of Rhode Island vehicle repairs.
So the motion made and seconded for favorable action. Are there any other questions on the bid package? All right, seeing none, clerk will call the roll on the consent calendar, please. Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Lattiser?
Yes.
Mr. Muto?
Yes.
Mr. Napa?
Yes.
8 yes, consent passes.
All right, next, Councilman Lattiser, the items removed from the bid package.
Yes, the first item, item number 3, 2026-093, purchase 3 trucks with plows, has now become PCR 82-25. it was moved to the floor without a recommendation as a result of a tie vote in committee. I am not going to regurgitate the discussion that we had for an hour plus on these vehicles. Everyone that is here was here, and that's it. Move it.
All right, well said. Councilman Napa?
Just one point on this. I was initially very much against these items. After the discussion that was had ad nauseum and the realization that these funds are to pay for these vehicles are coming out of enterprise funds and not out of direct tax dollars, it's a little bit more palatable to me. That it's not a direct tax impact, and it's coming out of a large pool of funds that are funded by payment of water metering. If this was coming out of the tax levy that we just increased, I think that I would definitely be a no. This item, I think, becomes more palatable for me, that it's more clarity on my end that it's coming out of the enterprise funds. I still think these vehicles are a bit overkill. I do understand the intention of multi-use. I'm going to decide to trust the administration and the director that these vehicles are going to be used for the stated purposes that they sort of promised us here on the floor that they're going to be used for, that they are going to be dual purposed. And again, that this is not a direct, tangentially related to what the taxpayers pay, but this is coming out of a sum of money that is not directly related to the tax increase that we just effectuated or the general fund budget. So that said, this line item becomes more palatable on that end. I do, again, think that these are a bit overkill, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to trust the administration and the department heads on this item. Very torn, though. That's all.
Yeah, as we heard in committee, I'm in relatively the same boat. I would say that going forward, I think it's fair to state the expectation. I can only state my own expectation. I can't speak for everyone. But I think it's a fair expectation to have that going forward for capital improvements, that there'll be a plan for those improvements, not just the one that's happening immediately, but the ones down the line, hence how capital improvements are supposed to be handled. I think that, again, I think that's a fair expectation, and I think it'll help everyone, both in the short term and the long term. And we can discuss outside the meeting as far as how to effectuate that. Councilman Lattiser?
So now you guys just have to make me comment some more. My position is any dollars that we approve and expend in this council are taxpayer dollars. Taxpayers are footing the bill. And to, especially where we are now financially, with the things that we know are coming down the road, and they're going to hit you like one of these trucks when they do come down the road, and will have to be paid for because we have no choice on those items. To support a Mercedes when a Chevy can do the same job with a lot less taxpayer dollars just doesn't make sense to me. I don't see these vehicles being multi-purposed the way you may think, because again, I go back to previous meetings when we talk about how much time is spent on meter service and replacing the meters and all the additional meters that we've approved, and we got to buy more because we can't keep up with them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So in any event, all dollars are taxpayer dollars, and I will stand my position in opposition to this expense, not in opposition to buy vehicles, but in opposition to spend more dollars on vehicles that are overrated and just unnecessary. Thank you.
All right. As a reminder, and I blame you for this following comment, Councilman Lattiser, because I wasn't going to reiterate it, but the department stated the likelihood that they will end up expending more money rather than less if this bid is turned down. Granted, no one knows the future. Will it actually work out that way? I don't know. But That is what the department represented, and given tariffs and whatnot, a bunch of which just got announced today, which will be interesting to see how that goes. The price of things is definitely very much in flux, but to do anything, we need a motion one way or another from someone.
Make a motion for unfavorable action.
There's a motion for unfavorable action. Is there a second?
Second. Second.
Seconded by Councilman Muto. Any further discussion? All right, clerk will call the roll on a motion for unfavorable action on this bid. Councilman Foley?
Councilman Lattiser has moved unfavorable action. A yes item would prevent the bid from being awarded. A no vote would allow it to proceed to another motion.
All right, clerk will please call the roll.
Mr. Sinapi?
No.
Mr. DeLuise?
No.
Mr. Foley? No. Mr. Gephardt? No. Mr. Kirby?
No.
Mr. Lattiser?
Yes.
Mr. Muto?
Yes.
Mr. Napa?
Yes.
All right.
Three,
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
3 yes, 5 no. Favorable doesn't pass.
All right, so the motion for unfavorable action does not pass. Is there a motion for favorable action or anything else? Motion for favorable action from Councilman Foley. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilman Gephardt. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, clerk, sorry.
On PCR 8225, formerly bid 2026-039, we now have before us a motion for favorable action that was moved by Councilman Foley and seconded by Councilman Gephardt. A yes vote will award the contract as presented. A no vote would prevent it.
All right, clerk will please call the roll.
Mr. Sinapi?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuise?
Yes.
Mr. Foley? Yes. Mr. Gephardt? Yes. Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Lattiser?
No.
Mr. Muto?
No.
Mr. Napa?
No.
5 yes, 3 no, motion passes.
All right, Councilman Lattiser.
Okay, item number 5, purchase 4 Chevy trucks, previously 2026-094, now PCR 83-25. It was moved by the committee to the floor with discussion. Having said that, I'll make a motion for unfavorable action on PCR 84-25.
So Councilman Foley used his little light. Councilman Foley. Motion made for favorable action. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilman Gephardt. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, clerk will please call the roll.
Mr. Sinapi?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuise?
Yes.
Mr. Foley?
Yes.
Mr. Gephardt? Yes. Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Lattiser?
No.
Mr. Muto?
No.
Mr. Napa?
Yes.
6-2, motion passes.
All right, next, Councilman Lattiser.
Okay, next item, number 6, 2026-104, at the request of the sponsor, it was withdrawn. TR 8425.
All right, any questions? Oh, first, is there a motion to
Make
withdraw?
a motion for favorable action on PCR 8425 for withdrawal.
Second.
Motion made to withdraw, seconded. Any questions or comments on the motion? Seeing none, clerk will please call the roll.
Mr. Sinapi?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuise?
Yes.
Mr. Foley? Yes. Mr. Gephardt? Yes. Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Lattiser?
Yes.
Mr. Muto?
Yes.
Mr. Napa?
Yes.
8 yes to withdraw.
All right, and I think one more, Councilman Lattiser?
Oh, yes, item number 12, 2026-035, vehicle body repair, now is PCR 85-25, and we have Councilman Napper is recusing.
Do we have a motion?
A motion for favorable action on PCR 85-25.
Motion made and seconded. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, clerk will please call the roll.
Mr. Sinapi?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuise? Mr. Foley?
Yes.
Mr. Gephardt? Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Lattiser?
Yes.
Mr. Muto?
Yes.
Mr. Napa?
Recuse?
7 yes, 1 recusal, motion passes.
So I believe that is it for bids. So it brings us to unfinished business. First, PCO 15-25, an ordinance providing that employee contributions to the OPEB trust reduce the city's required contribution. This is second passage. Councilman Lattiser.
Committee recommends favorable action.
For action, Councilman Lattiser.
Favorable action on PCO 15-25.
Seconded by Councilman Foley. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, clerk will please call the roll.
Mr. Sinapi?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuise? Mr. Foley?
Yes.
Mr. Gephardt? Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Lattiser?
Yes.
Mr. Muto?
Yes.
Mr. Napa?
Yes.
8 yes, second passage.
All right, next we have PCR 16-25, resolution amending the rules of the Warwick City Council for the 2025-2026 term. This is Councilman Gephardt. And so if someone could please,
Make a motion favorable action on PCR 16-25.
not quite. Can,
We can start there.
all right, never mind.
We have a motion for favor by Councilman Gephardt, seconded by,
No, I made the
Councilman
motion. Just for the record. Not that I'm keeping track.
Councilman Lattiser would like to move favorable action on PCR 1625, seconded by Councilman Gephardt.
Thank you.
At this time, I would recommend, Council President, that we, that your sub B that has been posted for public consumption, if it would be in order at this time to bring the proposed sub B to PCR 1625 forward with 2 clarifying changes to the item that was presented. These changes are that on Rule 15, the meeting time on line 29, this is page 6, line 29, be updated pursuant to the instruction that was done when we changed the meeting time to change the time from 7 p.m. to 6:30 p.m., as well as with a change to on page 12, Rule 30L, that the new language being inserted to subsection 30L be deleted, and we just leave L as a reserved clause for future activity. So if someone would move and second the sub B as read into the record with those changes, we can then discuss.
Move for favorable action on sub B as read into the record by the
Second.
solicitor.
All right, any discussion on the proposed amendment?
President, I just want to make clear on one thing. I believe it was said that on page 12, item L is going to be carved out altogether, right?
Yes. Okay. So it'll just be,
The language is still being deleted, the red line is staying, but the new blue language is going to disappear
Blue line.
under the proposal before you.
And the lined out red is going to remain.
It will still be deleted,
Right.
and we will insert a reserved clause.
Okay.
Just so we don't have to renumber everything.
Okay.
any further questions or comments on the amendment? Seeing none, clerk will please call the roll on the amendment.
Mr. Sinapi?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuise?
Yes.
Mr. Foley?
Yes.
Mr. Gephardt?
Yes.
Mr. Kirby?
Yep.
Mr. Lattiser?
Yes.
Mr. Muto?
Yes.
Mr. Napa?
Yes.
8 yes to amend.
So now that this stands before us as amended, do we have a motion one way or another?
Make a motion favorable action as amended.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Are there any further questions, comments, discussion? All right, seeing none, clerk will please call the roll.
Mr. Sinapi?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuise?
Yes.
Mr. Foley?
Yes.
Mr. Gephardt?
Yes.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Lattiser?
Yes.
Mr. Muto?
Yes.
Mr. Napa?
Yes.
8 yes as amended.
And then next, we have PCR 67-25, a resolution requesting the General Assembly to amend RIGL 17-8-5 to include the City of Warwick in the list of municipal councils authorized to approve the employment and compensation of local canvassing authorities. Councilman Gephardt.
Yes, Mr. President, this is request to be, by the sponsor, be held till August 18th.
Is there any objection to holding this item until August 18th? Seeing none, so held. And then next, PCR 80-25, a resolution relative to Brenda Caracuso's claim. Public Safety, Councilman Muto.
The committee has recommended favorable action for the claim of $98.
All right, is there, for action, Councilman Muto?
The action is to, for favorable action to pay the claim of $98.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilman Lattiser. Any questions or comments on
Councilman
the
DeLuise.
motion? Seeing none, clerk will please call the roll.
Mr. Snappy.
Yes.
Mr. DeLuise. Yes. Mr. Foley.
Yes.
Mr. Gephardt. Yes. Mr. Kirby.
Yes.
Mr. Lattiser.
Yes.
Mr. Muno.
Yes.
Mr. Knapper.
Yes.
8 yes, motion passes.
And I believe that concludes our business. Does anyone have anything for the unanimous consent calendar? Seeing none. Anyone want to get us to the docket session?
Since there's no further business in front of this honorable body, I recommend moving to a docketing session.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. In the docketing session, Ward 1.
Pass.
Ward 2. Not here. Ward 3.
One item, docket a tax stabilization agreement between the City of Warwick and Renaissance Development Corporation relative to 1880 Post Road.
Finance Committee, Ward 4. And then for you, Councilman DeLuise.
We just have one item. I'd like to recognize the month of August as National Jaws and Shark Awareness Month. Can I retract that statement? I was going to say Jurassic Park also, but
Now I'm curious, where would it go?
I think we should make it National Shark Awareness Month, really.
It's up to you. You can docket whatever you want.
I think I'm going to do that.
All right. So, Community Affairs. All right. Count Ward 5.
Guys better not oppose me on this.
Ward 5's nothing.
All right. Ward 6.
Pass.
Ward 7.
Pass.
Ward 9. So that looks like a no. And then Ward 8, I don't think I have anything. So we're done at 8:09 p.m.
Spit out my coffee.